Hello, everyone. This is your friendly neighborhood caster, Curt Patzer, coming to you live from the GVP podcasting studio to tell you about an awesome deal from Stitcher Premium. Get your favorite podcasts ad-free on Stitcher Premium, like Marvel's Wolverine, The Marvel After Show, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Geekverse Podcast, and many more. Plus, get exclusive access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. Just go to StitcherPremium.com and sign up today for the low price of $4.99 a month, $34.99 a year if you want to go that route, which is probably a better deal. And make sure to use the promo code GEEKVERSE. Is it checkout? I think it's checkout. We'll go with checkout. Where would you insert it?
What did you say?
Where would you do the code?
At the link.
The login.
StitcherPremium.com.
You just go to the link, and
is
it's
in our description.
Okay. Should have wrote that down in my talking point.
It's okay.
Use promo code GEEKVERSE to get your first free month. Use promo code GEEKVERSE to get a first month free. That's GEEKVERSE, GEEKVERSE. All caps, all lowercase. I don't think it really matters. Give it a go. And go check it out.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to who knows what episode, because we're recording this in a different timeline. That's why you
enter Twilight Zone music.
Don't fucking interrupt me. Do. I am...
The scary door.
Oh, boy. I don't know. I'm the get me those pictures of Spider-Man Trask. I'm a little under the weather, so if you think, oh, Trask is not interested in this topic, no, it's just I'm fighting a cold. When we're recording this, a kid still's not come, so I'm just getting ready to have a child being birthed while I have a fucking cold.
Yeah.
Man, it's great. Fuck you,
risky
Sony.
Because young babies have weak immune systems.
Young babies.
Yeah, giving me a
Shouts
cold.
out to the young babies out there.
Shout out to the young babies listening to this podcast right now. I am
Huge
the
audience.
wall-crawling menace. And who are you?
I am your friendly neighborhood caster,
Hey.
Patzer.
So, unless you're on Patreon, that's why you go subscribe at the $1 or $5 tier. You get a bunch
We've
of
really
early...
been pumping up that Patreon.
Oh,
lately,
yeah, and it's just beginning. 2020, it's going to be... We're just unloading our big, fat load on you in 2020 Patreon. We got tons of stuff coming. But if not, when this is releasing to the public, we're releasing this on the 1-year anniversary of Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about, like Dylan said, that there was DLC. So we never really did like a cast of what we'd want for the video game, for the sequel, and stuff like that. So we're going to do that. Who knows, in our timeline, there could be an announcement that said this game's canceled, so that would be great. But if not, This is what we're going to talk about.
The Sony versus Disney is our current...
the Civil War.
Yeah. This is the day after everything just like broke down for recording purposes for
battle.
you people. But if not, there's still a game coming, hopefully. Insomniac, and that's fun too. Insomniac just got bought by Sony, so they're exclusive. I think I saw some stat they hadn't bought a developer in over 8 years or something like that, so it's been a while.
I saw like... I don't know, it wasn't The Onion, but it was like similar to The Onion, and it's like Insomniac, employees shocked to learn that they weren't already part of Sony.
Yeah, I saw that too. It's pretty good.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I guess what I would say first is check out our review. You hear what we thought about it. We all loved it. I reviewed all the DLC, so that was good.
There was 2 DLC, correct? There's Black Cat. There's 3. There's Black Cat. There was Silver Sable focused one,
and
right?
Tombstone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Tombstone. Yeah. So they're good. The Black Cat one, it's kind of sucked because the DLC got progressively, I won't say worse, but weaker as it went along. The first one felt like a full-on, just great piece of content. The other ones felt a little lighter, but they're still fun. Got some suits, had some adventures and whatnot. Yeah. So I think... What do we want to start with this? Do we want to start setting? Do we want to start villains? What do we want to go for Spider-Man PS4 2? And here's my first prediction or whatever. It'll not have the number 2 in it. It'll be : something. Give me your best title. Go. Kirkland, go.
Right on the spot.
Spider-Man Far From Sony.
Oh.
Or Far From Disney.
Marvel,
I think that would have been a little bit better.
The whole game is just like you play as an exec and you're trying to like outsmart Kevin Feige. He's the villain with the symbiote.
And he's got his hat on.
Yeah, he throws it like Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
You really hit that with me on the spot. I don't have a good one, but I feel like it'll probably be related to Miles because he's probably going to be a big character in the second game. So
I think it's going to be related with the symbiote because we did end off with, if we remember, and that's where I guess we can kind of start. The end credit scene was Norman Osborn with his poor son Harry Osborn in the tank, covered by the Venom symbiote.
Right.
So I think something to do. I don't know what it would be like. I don't know if it's something dark and gloomy.
I hope it's dark and gritty.
That's my title, Spider-Man Dark and Gritty, a symbiote story. So, but I think it would have. That's my prediction. I think it'll have something to do around this symbiote. That'd be my guess. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm gonna do the hard prediction. I think it's gonna be 2. just to counter
Oh,
you. I think it's
just
gonna be
like the
Spider-Man
word
2.
two though. Spider-Man TWO. Yeah.
Spell TOO.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Wolf Order.
you know, following the step of other games recently, Spider-Man Ultimate. Just call it Ultimate. There you go.
Let's go.
Sure.
Good to go.
Switch it around from Ultimate Spider-Man.
Or Odyssey. Spider-Man Odyssey. Yeah.
Oh no,
That's
yeah.
great.
There's so many of those. So yeah, what do we want to? Oh, I think we probably start with the juiciest as far as villains. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I wanted to ask you about the DLCs because, you know, when you finish the main game, there's clearly some. I mean, if you haven't played the game, obviously there's going to be spoilers. So
yeah.
take
Get
that.
out of here. Go.
Yeah.
Shoo,
But
bug.
go play the game. It's really fun. So the main game, as you said, it ends with kind of like symbiote setups. It also ends with a setup for Green Goblin and kind of Miles Morales. Those are all kind of things that are hinted at that will be that they'd potentially be leaning towards.
That's my counter. I don't know if we're gonna get Green Goblin, to be honest.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You think it's just gonna be Norman?
I think so,
Yeah.
and that's why. Because one of my villains, I'm not sure. Did you were gonna ask a question? Because I can say what.
Well, what I was
asked.
going to say, I never got the DLC because I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat for this one. But I felt like they ripped that content from the main game to make it DLC, and that really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And which is probably why you feel like the Black Cat DLC was so good. It's probably because it was part of the game, and they just decided to take it out and make it DLC. Now, that's just my conspiracy. That's never been confirmed.
They even
but
set it up in the game.
Yeah.
So that was
they tease it super hard that it's
Yeah.
going to be content. And to me, the only if you go back to our review, I mean, I haven't listened to it, but I'm pretty sure my only problem with
Disney
the game...
took it. They won 50-50 and said, I can't do it.
My only problem with the game was like a lack of side content. The main story was really fun, but the side missions felt really short, and like the Black Cat one especially felt like it was setting up something that just didn't get resolved. So is there any other did the DLCs end with anything that would lead you to believe that something else is going to happen in the second game?
So
like the ending of the main story?
Was not in the main game. The only two things were Miles and Peter are starting to train. They're meeting up. Miles like keeps phoning him, but like this keeps happening.
Okay.
And Black Cat is never caught or dead or anything. She just goes kind of escape. So I think it's a pretty good chance we'll see her in the second game. I think that's another reason why, whether they'll make you buy the DLC, or I think the rumors are putting out a Game of the Year edition soon, which would make sense if the 1 year's coming up.
Okay.
Maybe another reason to buy it. Like, you don't know what happened. Because that was one of my complaints, is if she is in the next game and you didn't play that, you're going to have no idea. Because there's this whole storyline where she said she was pregnant and it was Peter's kid. And it's this whole kind of ordeal, and it's revealed that she wasn't pregnant and everything like that. But there's this great back and forth with him and MJ because they just got back together. So she was left up. The other people, Silver Sable just kind of went off on her own, helped you with the mission. Tombstone, I believe, ended up in jail. Or sorry, it wasn't Tombstone. Tombstone was in the main game as Hammerhead. Hammerhead was the guy. Yeah, I always screw them up because they're just guys with flat top cuts and whatnot. So
Can't blame you.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think other than Black Cat, there's anything they could come back, but I don't think there's anything big to be like, oh, this is for sure coming in Spider-Man 2. So
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't know credible this is. This is total hard read for me. But
do you have a source?
No, I don't. This is just my own personal headcanon.
Sure.
But kind of following, because I don't know. I think on the review I was kind of comparing this game a bit to like Arkham, like that series, Arkham Knight and stuff. And I don't know if they did in the first game, but in Arkham City they made it where you could actually play as Catwoman for some missions. I really hope they do that with Black Cat. I think that'd be so cool. And like, obviously, it would be very similar to what we saw in the Arkham games, but I really enjoyed those missions. They're just so unique, and like, I don't know, some I wasn't expecting to be able to do in like a Batman game. I was expecting to only be able to play as Batman. So if they're able to like, I don't know, throw in...
It's clearly something they're interested in because they had MJ and Miles.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And like those ones are mostly just like you're an innocent civilian who can't really do much.
They're pretty much like stealth missions.
Yeah, exactly. But like in this one, it would be cool to have some like new mechanics, and then whether or not you can switch out with them, like whether you beat like the campaign or just, I don't know, swap them out whenever. I think that would just be a sweet addition, especially
even like a new game plus, you just like can play through the whole thing now as another character.
That would be so cool.
They had that way long ago with the original Spider-Man. You could play as the Green Goblin. That was based off the movie. Yeah, you could play as the Green Goblin, and it was you were Harry Osborn that had the thing, and it was such a weird reworking. It was just like, I gotta find out what my dad's up to and stuff like that. Like this completely other universe and whatnot.
That's
it was
so
wild.
weird.
And the other thing I gotta mention on the Catwoman thing, it was so funny because there's this like critical mission because she kind of comes saves the day as Batman, and then they flashback, like, oh, how did Catwoman get here? And you play the mission as Catwoman, and there's two options. It's like, go save Gotham with Batman, or go just take the money and run. And you go do that, then there's more missions. And then if you go back and play take the money and run, it's just like, you let Gotham die, and that's it. There's no, like, I thought, oh, is there more fun, like, what if episodes? No, it's just like, no, you let Batman die. It's like, oh, okay.
That's
so
hilarious.
They definitely didn't want you to pick the don't save Gotham option.
Yeah.
So.
Damn. If only Batman could have prepared for that. Anyway.
Totally.
Oh.
Travis is salty about this comment.
He's walking out here.
I guess what that leads right into is Miles. Like, what is his role going to be in the second game? Is he going to be a main character that you play like 50-50? Is he going to be step up and be like the only main character?
Yeah.
Is he just going to be a couple missions with like a full or more full of a moveset? Because really, like when you I don't think there's really any replay value for Miles or MJ's missions in the game. Like, they're very, very basic.
Especially
very
when you replay them over in Game Plus. It's such a drag.
Right.
Yeah.
I said this during the first game, and I was wrong, but I'm going to say it until it happens. I think we will, in this... I don't know if it's this game or the third one, we're going to get that Red Dead moment where Peter dies in a game, and you take over as Miles. I think there's a good chance it could be in this one, but... I don't know. I think you're going to have to, because how else, if Miles now has powers, how else would he function other than you could play this mission as Miles? I don't know how else he could function. Maybe there's a way maybe they could make it GTA 5 style of you could switch on and off between Miles and Peter. That's the only way.
You have some team up missions.
I don't think after the last game you can introduce Miles and just have him as a back burner, or as you can play 3 missions as Miles. I think they either got to do the Red Dead, kill Peter off, make him a playable character, or something else. Mm-hmm. So, because if they don't make him the main guy or a switch on and off, I don't think they should have introduced that in the game yet.
That could be fun. And what I like about that is and when you first start Spider-Man PS4, it's cool because you're playing a Spider-Man who's been in the role for like 10 years. So it like is a story purpose for why you can already move around and stuff. You don't have to go through the tutorial period. You still unlock things throughout the game, but it's more just equipment. Whereas Peter knows how to do stuff already. Whereas, I mean, you're saying that in the DLC they're talking about some training or something.
Yeah, he's phoning him just like, I want to meet up.
Maybe they could take that same route and skip forward where Miles already has some skill proficiency. Mm-hmm. But I think it could be fun actually to go back and kind of build up a character from the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe that'd feel like regressive or something. But if you have 2 characters, perhaps that's a good way to do it. Especially if he has like invisibility and electric powers. Like it's a different kind of character.
Yeah, no, for sure. This also goes to something I had in my notes actually, is kind of like how this game had like super weak RPG elements and like they didn't fully make sense, especially like since the Spider-Man's already been Spider-Man for 10 years. So why do I have to like, I don't know, like progressively get better to get some skills that you probably should already have? Yeah. Whereas like my note for the RPG elements was either take it completely out or just expand on them and make it a lot more like rewarding. Whereas if you introduce a new character like Miles, who is I don't know, he's learning to, exactly, like, and it would totally like fit like that mold. I feel if the character's getting better as the Spider-Man, like he's also getting new skills, he's leveling up and stuff. Whereas like for what we saw in the first game, PS4 Spider-Man, it seemed a little off. I remember you made that comment. It was just like the RPG elements they seemed so stale and flat and like unnecessary.
They were put in there because it's like a trend in AAA games. They weren't put in there because it fit the game well. And you do need some sort of progression, or at least most games feel like you need that sort of progression, so that, I mean, as a player you're feeling rewarded for doing stuff. But I think there's better ways to do it for like particularly a game like this where your character has like superpowers and stuff, and you're just like getting equipment. Maybe there's a better way to do it. And I don't know, I'm curious how they'll do that. Like, are you going to carry over if you do play as Peter again, like do you carry over your abilities in the second game? Do you have to unlock it all again? That'd be even like double down on what you're saying. If you start this game, you should have all this stuff. Yeah. Why do you have to do it again? Exactly. That would be extra weird.
I think other than the bare minimums, I'm going to refer back to the Arkham games. Other than they get like your health bar all the way up, most of the time they would just add new gadgets and new attacks and whatnot. So you would have mostly all your old stuff, but I don't think it would be that way where you're going to be super powered. You'd have a bunch of gadgets. I think they'd find some story reason to be, my web shooter's got some water on him and I got to do this, you know. So, but that's why when you're talking about like Miles the RPG, I do think maybe there's a chance that Peter dies at the end of the game and it sets up Spider-Man 3, and that's where you can have that. So maybe I'll take back the the game might end and you play with Miles after, but you'd maybe still have all Peter's stuff. I don't know, but that's where I do wonder, because I think
even if Peter's knocked out or taken to some other dimension or something, he can be absent while you play with Miles, and then maybe you get Peter. You get access to Peter's moveset later on in the game when Miles is already kind of on that power level, and then you can kind of switch between them. And I think, as you mentioned, like GTA style would be really fun, where you can just on the fly switch between them, and they're just off, different parts of the city.
Yeah,
and that would fit really well with the. I mean, one thing that was amazing about the first game is that you can go from one end of the city to the other without a single load screen, without any noticeable pop-in. Like, it was pretty crazy. So if they can implement that, like, on PS5, where you could just teleport around the city with these characters without any load times, that would be insane.
And it's kind of like what Kurt was saying with the Catwoman missions. When they introduced Robin in the Arkham series, they did these cool missions where you'd be together, and you couldn't go and play as Robin as the mission by himself. I think they'd add some DLC later, but you would be fighting back to back with Robin, and you'd do like a combo move, and then when that happened, the controls would switch over to Robin, and you'd be Robin fighting, and then you'd switch back and forth. So
that's pretty cool.
I could see stuff like that at first. So yeah, I think there's lots of possibility. Who knows though? Maybe Miles is still just training all of Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. Is that, like, if we get that, that's the we're gonna play as Miles as Spider-Man, because the DLC showed that he's being trained, but if you didn't play that, you don't know that, right? So it could be more backstory. It could be maybe the last mission, Miles suits up and you get to do something. I imagine you would play as them though at some point, because you played with them in the first game, even though they're hiding like the Rhino missions. But I think he will be playable in some sense. How much I don't know, but I think it's definitely gonna happen, and we will probably see that suit.
Another theory that I don't know could be fun. I don't know if you guys played Ultimate Spider-Man back in the day, but
with GameCube, right?
Yeah. So that one, it was interesting because you could play as Venom or Spider-Man, but like when you're first progressing through the campaign, you'd finish like a Spider-Man story, and then it would skip to like Eddie Brock, and then you're playing as Venom. Okay. But once you beat the game, you had the option to just go in the pause menu and just switch characters whenever you. And then I feel like, I don't know, if they kind of do something similar where, okay, yeah, I'm having a Peter Parker mission, and then it goes back to like a Miles mission, which we saw in the first game, but obviously now he's got powers, so it'll be a little bit more exciting. And then, I don't know, just have that throughout the game. Maybe when it's like a major like end game battle or whatever, you have the two of them kind of together, and then it would be sweet having like the Batman Robin like dynamic where you can switch off character. I never heard that before. That sounds like a really interesting
it's fun. And that's
mechanic.
And that's one thing like I'll bag on again. I'm not a fan that they did the Sinister Six right off the gate, because I think that could have been a fun way to introduce Miles. You can always have a big bad guy with a bunch of goons. It's an easy thing, but I would just have loved to have like, Peter's facing this huge threat, and that's where Miles comes in to help him out, right? So that's why I always I am still surprised they led with that. I think they just because it's marketing wise, you want a lot of villains, but I still think there was a story in there with Doc Ock that didn't need to lead to the Sinister Six right away, because I don't think I think once you do that, and that was some of my complaints with the story, that storyline felt really rushed. I don't think you really do that again, and that's why in my list of villains, I don't really have Doc Ock. I think there could be a mention. He could be around or maybe in prison, but I don't think he's going to bust out and even be like a boss. That honestly could be DLC of like, the day Doc Ock broke out. I don't think he's going to play a big factor into this next game, really.
I don't think so either.
Just the way that story concluded in the first one, in my opinion. If he had more ties to Miles, maybe, but I just don't know. I don't know what they would do. Like, I guess he had some issues with Norman, so maybe there's something there. But I think he'll be pretty minor in that game, if in it at all, if not in it at all. Yeah.
I just feel like the post-credit scene is like leading towards that so heavily. It's really
to Doc Ock,
to Green Goblin.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying Doc Ock for sure is not that. Green Goblin is like that's like a 50-50 for me. The reason why I thought Green Goblin might not be in the game, I thought they might actually take the Hobgoblin approach and have Norman busy with the symbiote Harry stuff, because I don't know, because what do you think they're doing with the symbiote in this game? Because it doesn't look like, are we seeing any Brock? Are we getting that origin, or is this their own kind of spin on it? Because I think they've never done like a Harry and some sort of tangle cancer. Like, this is completely new in my canon.
It's kind of jumping away from villains, but I think it'll help in the long run. What do you guys think they do for setting? Like, is it the same New York again? Is it like New York that's destroyed? Do they go to a new play area?
Question,
do they just like expand New York so it's not just the island, but there's other places you can go to as well? Like, I think that will be a big factor of like what the story is, and I don't know what you do. Like, obviously New York's great, it's iconic, it is Spider-Man, but at the same time, like, they can't just redo the same city, right? They can't redo the same play area.
I was gonna say, like, I think it'll stay in New York, probably expand on it, especially if it's on PS5. It'll just have more hardware to have like a bigger city and just run smoother. I feel like they'll take out like Kingpin's like like all like those like I don't know mission things that you come across. I feel like they'll just kind of remake those and like
the construction
expand
sites.
Yeah, and
put
like
them in full buildings.
yeah, and just stuff like that, like chain, and then maybe I don't know, just add some like new unique like I don't know, just like advanced technology looking buildings just across the city. But then again, they could do anything. They could make Norman just go full on psycho and he's just like taking over the town and it's just like I don't know, like a fascist New York we're going down. Yeah, who knows?
Well, because
dark and gritty.
And that's the thing too. We don't know if this game is going to pick up right after that or if there's going to be a time jump. I think they'll do New York, and I think they will either expand it or maybe you go to like a New Jersey or something or New York. Like I think they'll just expand. I don't think the story's ready yet for them to get either him going to space or anywhere, or him going to a big city, or even him like going to a different dimension as far as like a Madam Web popping up. I think for now they'll keep it in New York just because I feel the next game is going to be like, I guess Doc Ock was personal to him, but I feel like this is going to be more personal because it's Harry, and they did set that up in the game that all three of them were friends, and he's missing for a while. So I think that's why we'll stay in New York, because it's going to be personal. I think they'll just expand it, make it bigger. Like Kirkland said, some like city additions, some street additions, build some towers, build some gang, knock out a building or two. Don't include the boat people.
Yeah, those boat people were glitched out. I think maybe I think they have to do some twist on it to make it feel like a new area, and I was thinking about how that's possible, because I don't think they should go to a new area. I think they did a great job with New York.
I'm pretty confident though that you're going to be able to go to like Statue of Liberty and stuff that you could see but you couldn't quite visit.
That one they have to.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Just it's like so easy to do.
Yeah,
it's something like that. I would think it would be. I think it would be fun to add like expanding areas like around New York as well, off the island. Though I don't know if that's entirely necessary. Like it's a pretty big area already. I think a fun way to do it would, like I said earlier, be like some destruction aspect that either some villain or I don't know, I guess it would have to be some sort of villain is destroying like parts of the city and you have to rebuild them or something. But even maybe something like a dimension, like portals or something that you can, maybe you go into a version of New York that is like quite destroyed and you spend some time there. It's the same area, but like buildings are collapsing, shit's on fire. And I don't know if you can go back and forth between that and regular New York, and you just like, as you maybe fix one area and fight a boss there, it like brings that part back to normal or something. That could be kind of fun. But at the same time, I just love that aspect that there is like no loading screen. You can just go across the entire city. And I don't know if I want them to like separate it like that, unless they do it in like some seamless way, which honestly they could if PS5 is as powerful as they're making it seem to be. Yeah. And load times are going to be a thing of the past anyway.
No, for sure. I was going to say like, as well, just going into the next game from this last game, like they did such a good job on building like New York and like how great it looked. I'm sure they don't want to just demolish that and start from scratch, but then again, you definitely have to make it unique, right? And like new and something that the users want to keep going back to, right? So I definitely feel like they're gonna have to do something, whether it was like what you said, like the city's getting destroyed and you kind of have to, whether you get stuck in that one area and you have to fix it, or I don't know. I'm also just playing on the idea that Mysterio's going to be in there and he's going to take you to some weird, funky place that you get stuck in.
Kind of like the Scorpion sequence.
Yeah, something like that.
Upon.
Yeah, the two things. One, I think the subway and sewers are always an option, especially if Lizard gets introduced. Yeah. You got lizards always popping around in the...
That really just kind of destroys Spidey's movement, though, as we know it.
He can swim. No. If it's a big enough subway, it's an abandoned subway, you could swing the whole way, and they could add a bunch of construction, things like that. I'm just thinking of certain places that are still in New York that you could do, because even Statue of Liberty, I still don't know how you get there, though, without... What is he going to swing on? Oh, he's going to leap? That's a big leap.
Oh, yeah.
Boat people. Boat people take it in. Their redemption arc.
I always say that I wish they didn't do the Scorpion one first, because it was fun, but I just thought that was destined to be Mysterio's thing, and that's like now the biggest like superhero trope. I'm surprised we didn't get Marvel Alliance. Ever since Batman Arkham Knight or Arkham Asylum, every superhero game has like a trippy dream sequence. So I think we'll get that again. I think especially because Mysterio was around. You saw him like in not him physically, but his presence was around. He's somebody that Spider-Man's fought before. You saw people that like Halloween parade or whatever it was dressed as Mysterio. I'm not sure if he'll have that look, because if you notice, everybody in that Halloween parade had the classic looks, but then Electro didn't have that look, so Mysterio might be changed up. I hope it's not too much. I definitely, as always, you gotta have the fishbowl and whatnot.
But
of course.
I still think if Mysterio's in this
There's
game,
only so many ways to do a fishbowl.
yeah. I think if Mysterio's in this game, he would not be one of the main baddies. I think he'd be one of your side quests, or he might link into the main story, and then you got to go fight him off on his own. But I don't think it's like Norman and him are working together.
He's gained so much popularity. I think he'll definitely be in there.
Oh
as well.
yeah, 100%. Which is a weird thing to say.
And then you just quickly mentioned, or few minutes ago you mentioned Hobgoblin. I don't care if we get Green Goblin or Hobgoblin. I just need a glider in this game.
Oh yeah,
New Goblin. Let's go, Harry.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on the review. That I think that will just make a great boss battle fight because I think some of those problems with Vulture and Electro was just it was them floating and them around, and it worked enough, but it just kind of felt like you're spinning in circles. Not that this is a better game at all, but the boss fights with Green Goblin in the very first Spider-Man game based on the Tobey movie, they were pretty fun and they were dangerous just to have that glider coming at you, everything like that. I think
even just like solid chase sequences across the town
100%,
while he's destroying stuff.
You could really construct a lot of stuff with Goblin. The reason I just put Hobgoblin is just like I said, I think Norman would be too busy with the Harry stuff, and I don't know, and who knows because I don't know the story they're going for. I just don't know as of right now the story purposes to him to suit up, other than maybe like his son breaks out and he feels he has to stop his son because for some reason. But other than that, I don't know. To me, I guess it's weird that I think it's clear they're doing Venom 100%, or the symbiote as Venom. Like I said, I don't know if Eddie Brock's in this game, but I just don't know if you do Venom and Green Goblin at the same time. I know they just did Sinister Six, but that was clearly Doc Ock, and then even Mr. Negative was kind of the same tier as Doc Ock, but right when Doc Ock came in, Mr. Negative took a big back seat and it was all about Doc Ock. He's been running stuff, so that's why I think even then maybe Green Goblin could appear, but I think you'd maybe get that in a third game. I don't know if they would do Venom and Green Goblin in the same game, so that's why I thought maybe Norman Leeds is around, or Ned Leeds is around. He's kicking in the comics it went that way, but in the animated series 90s one, Hobgoblin debuted first, so it has happened. So I think there's some fun there. Maybe Norman sees it and gets a little inspired, so
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, and I just want, it's the same way now that Mysterio he was in a movie, kids know who Mysterio is. I want people to know who Hobgoblin is, and I get it, he's kind of, some people might say the discount of Green Goblin, but he's a very different character, and I just want that character to get popular and people to want to see him on screen. And he hasn't had that much love in other media for quite a while, because
definitely not live action film.
Oh yeah, and I think it's just because Green Goblin's he's the guy, right? So
of course that Tobey movie was just, it was iconic.
Oh yeah, first one. So that's my. I guess I don't know if I would put a prediction, but that would be my thought. That I'm not confident about the Hobgoblin thing, but I'm more confident that we wouldn't see Green Goblin.
Yeah.
But Norman will be in the story a lot. I think.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea though, because especially just Norman's character for what he was in the first film. He's definitely a politician and someone that is always in front of the camera, not behind the scenes doing I don't know, nefarious things on a glider or something like that. So. I think I'll agree with you on that idea. Because it's pretty confident that we are getting Venom. So I feel like it is. I don't know. I feel like it'll just be kind of a mess if they just try and do too much things all at once.
What if they do a Green Goblin with a Venom symbiote, some big hybrid? Yeah, I think it's the same thing as Miles. You don't tease the symbiote and then we're not going to do it. I think you tease that specifically, where that's where I go, Norman's in it, but they never teased him like picking up his lunch with a glider, right? But with Harry, and what do we think about this twist of Harry having the symbiote?
It's very interesting. It's something I never would have thought, I don't know, ever. But I don't know. This is another just hard prediction. I think Eddie Brock's going to be in this.
Yeah.
And I think that eventually the symbiote suit will jump from Harry to Eddie Brock, and then that'll be oh yeah, we saved Harry, but Eddie kind of got fucked, and then now he's now he's kind of the main villain. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Eddie's just a photographer and he's taking photos. A flash affects symbiotes. Maybe it'll just freak him out and he'll jump on Eddie.
Damn.
I don't know. I don't know all the specifics, but that's my hard read. I think Eddie Brock's gonna be in it. And then it is kind of weird though, because they didn't even
as
talk
Venom
about him. As well?
I said as Venom as well, yeah. So are you saying Eddie Brock just period will be in it, but Eddie Brock as Venom as well will be in it?
So my hard read is Eddie Brock's going to be in this, and then a soft read is he will eventually get the symbiote.
What if that's the end credits, and then they're we're making a Venom game now, and then
I'm let's go.
Foggy's
Andy Serkis.
Would Venom be final boss tier? Is that who he is, or does he have a turn and become a pseudo good guy?
I kind of
yeah.
feel
Spidey.
I kind of feel that the symbiote might just be like a red herring though, and like we'll
Ooh.
think that it's the main villain the whole time, and then
Well, and that's where Green Goblin could come in as like, let's say whether it's Harry or Eddie, they team up to take on the Green Goblin. But I think if he's not final boss, they gotta make a great Venom boss battle, because Venom, very popular character. The Venom boys are strong. They love that person. So I think if he's not final boss, they need to make it, I think, kind of similar. Mr. Negative had a huge final boss battle, and that was actually my favorite boss battle in the game.
It was mechanically the most interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so something like that, like he can splurge out some other symbiote stuff to fight like that. I hope what they don't do is, I know Kirkland's a big fan, but I don't want any Carnage in this, and I'm a mega fan of Carnage too, but already with Miles, Norman, Harry, and symbiote, and even if Eddie gets introduced, there's enough going on. I don't need Carnage. Save that down the line. That was my only fear of just when I did see Norman with the symbiote. I was just, to me, those things clashed of like Green Goblin and Venom. But maybe that's it. Maybe, like I said, Venom's on the loose. He's like, oh, I got to stop him too. He takes him in gas. It's not going well, and he's going crazy. And maybe that's where I would think Harry would stay as the symbiote, because you could see like all these best friends teaming up to take on the Green Goblin.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Green Goblin has to be pretty. Well, I always fear this. I always time every Green Goblin says that would give me lots of fear that we'd get Ultimate Goblin though, and I don't want that, because I don't know if Green Goblin himself is enough of a threat to give Spider-Man and Venom a problem. So that's why I'd worry we'd get like Spider-Verse massive. I'm Green Goblin.
So we're talking about this Venom, but really, I just feel like Miles is going to be such a huge part of this game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm trying to think what would you say are Miles. Like, does he have a different like set of big villains or number one villains to him? Because I mean, Spidey has a ton, but I guess you could say Doc Ock or Green Goblin or Kingpin are kind of some of the biggest, possibly.
Not that I know of, to be honest. I read the first run when he got debuted in Ultimate, and it's a lot of spin on different Spider-Man villains. It's a lot of minor ones. There's not one, and that's where I can say I'm not the biggest Miles fanboy, so people could probably shout some out. But I don't think he has had a villain yet that has transcended to be like, this is a great villain. There's I'm trying to think of someone recently.
I think Mr. Negative breaks open a lot of possibilities, because that was actually really well done from a story perspective, from like the mechanics of the fight, and it was cool because now it's like, okay, now we just know this is another Spider-Man villain that could be potentially thrown elsewhere, and now we know about him.
Even then, he's a Spider-Man villain, and when that got revealed at E3, even lots of diehard Spider-Man fans were like, he is not a big character in our canon, and so that's, I think they could take some character that is a villain of Miles that someone myself may not even know or just heard of, and they could spruce him up. But Mr. Negative was a nobody for this game, so they could do that.
I know. What I'm saying, I don't think that's a problem. Like, I don't think you should have that as the final boss fight. That's kind of a risky move, but they can still play a big role, and like it's just nice from like an educational standpoint as well to learn about some new characters.
No, for sure. This is kind of off topic, but one thing I remember just loving in the Arkham series that they had like kind of like an encyclopedia of all the villains that you met in that game. Oh man, I love that.
The audio tapes too and stuff like that. Yeah,
so good.
And that's the thing. They kind of led with the first game. They had the really popular ones, but once they got down the last ones, they had like Professor Pig in there and Man Bat. So I think that you will see some people, like I'm sure he might be on your list, but someone like the Spot could come up in something like that.
I definitely want the Spot.
And I think the Spot is a great boss villain because like he opens up portals that could punch you and kick you. That could be like a really defensive boss level. So I try to think of other deep cuts, and that's why it's not like a deep cut for Marvel hardcore fans, but that's why I joke. But Chameleon I think is always a chance, because I think the majority of people don't really know who Chameleon is. He's just a guy that can shapeshift, and I don't know how exciting a boss battle it is, but I think you can make him in the story or minor. I tried to look at other people, but it's tough because they even had I forget there's a girl in the DLC. I'm not even sure if she's in the main game. She makes Spider-Man do all those challenges and whatnot.
Oh, Screwball,
yeah, and I think she's about 3 years old as a villain. Like she's very, very new. So that's the thing, that there could be people that are minor tier that have been new lately.
I could see her coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd probably be another side quest chain, but I think that could be fun.
Yeah,
It's a weird character, but something unique.
One that got bigger recently, well, one, who knows, it wouldn't be for this, but J.J. Abrams is making a comic book, and he's introducing a new villain, so maybe Spider-Man 3 might see that. But there's a guy named the Jackal he's gone a bit more, he was a smaller tier villain, but he's getting a bit more shine the past few years. He's has to do a lot with clones, though, so I don't think we're getting into that route, but you never know if they want to set something out like that, so that would be some of my guess.
What about Prowler?
I was going to bring him up.
Is Prowler traditionally like a Miles a Miles villain, or is he's kind of in Spider-Man 2 at some point?
Yeah. I think he was a Spider-Man villain. I think he was a Spider. Yeah, no, he was definitely a Spider-Man villain first, and then I think they read because he came out in the Ultimate Run, and Ultimate Run did a lot of different things. Like Kraven the Hunter was a reality TV star. He went to New York. He made a big deal. He's going to hunt Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man just one punched him, and that was the end of that story. And that's where like Ultimate took a lot of spin. So the Prowler was a Spider-Man villain, but then when Ultimate came around, they're like, oh, we're going to make him a villain, but he's going to have this nephew. So there's a chance they could do that. Miles in it, but I don't know. I think because the origin was different for Miles in this game, I don't think the Prowler will be around. I think because he already got the bite, he's already talked to Peter. I think that moment, I think the dynamics there would be gone unless you just want to recreate Spider-Verse as like him knowing his uncle's a villain. But I think that I don't think we'll see Prowler as much as I would love that look.
I think he'll be in there just because like they're kind of playing on the theme that Miles is definitely gonna have a bigger role in this game as opposed to the last game, and then. I don't know, why not just throw as many villains as you can in there? I know it can get a little mix mashed in there, but
there wasn't
I feel
tons in the first game.
No,
there's a good amount.
I also just feel like with having Miles as a bigger role, like it's I don't know, a lot of people have seen like Spider-Verse, they can identify like that character attached to that one. I know like the game is totally different and stuff, and they could do their own ways, but I don't know, that's just a weird thought that I had. I think Prowler will be in there.
I think he'd be fun, and I don't know if maybe it'd be a good one to tie into Miles, but I think there will probably be a couple in there if Miles is a bigger role, which I think he will be, that are just characters that maybe I don't know super well, just like more Miles focused villains instead of Peter. Ones that I'm just not as familiar with, because Miles really just kind of cracked onto the scene. I feel like first actually with Spider-Man PS4 is kind of when his name first kind of came up, and then the movie Spider-Verse came out, and now he's in Ultimate Alliance. He's a big head honcho or whatever, but I feel like that was kind of the first time I had ever heard of him was actually from Spider-Man PS4. So
technically, he wasn't Far From Home first. Well, I guess just the never mind, just the Prowler was. They cut it. They did have a scene of young Miles, but they cut it probably because they didn't want to use that same actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had the list of all the villains from the PS4, the first one. Sure. So you had Kingpin, Mr. Negative, Inner Demons, but I'm not going to count that. It's just a group with Mr. Negative, Norman Osborn, Silver Sable, Tombstone, Taskmaster, Shocker, Screwball, Sinister Six, which featured Rhino, Electro, Scorpion, Vulture, Doc Ock, and Black Cat. So that's a lot of people in that game.
Yeah, but some of them, like Norman, I mean, he has like
True.
a little bit of role in the story. Like Black Cat is a DLC character. Silver Sable, she's definitely a villain, but you said she teams up with you in the DLC. Do you fight her still?
Yeah, you fight her once, and then it's like we need to take down these Silver Sable agents and blah blah blah.
Yeah, she felt in the main game like they were kind of leading up to something. So yeah, I don't know, I'd count that one a bit lower, but that is a good amount. So that was actually something I was thinking about too. Like Kingpin, I think would be an interesting one to bring back, because he's very much your tutorial boss in the game. You start like before you even have like full control of going wherever you want. You kind of got to go through this, as far as I can remember at least, you kind of have to go through this rail and fight up the tower and then fight him, and then he's gone. But he could be a fun one to come back, and you just learn that he's been working behind the scenes. Could be working with Norman as well. More
hideouts and stuff like that.
Another good way to set up like just another enemy type with some classic criminals. He could be the one behind it. I don't know if I think you probably should have some sort of fight against him at some point, but maybe that'd be strange, because he's like a tutorial boss in the first game, then a bigger boss. But even if he's just around like story wise, I think that's fine.
He's the tutorial again. He's broken out, and you gotta take him down.
It's interesting, like his role in the first game though, because I feel like out of a lot of the villains that you just named off, like I feel like he had probably one of the most like influence in the whole game, because you have his villains that you're always fighting throughout the game.
Tons of side quests.
Yeah, exactly, tons of side quests. But yet, you get rid of him in like the very first.
I think it just
mission.
comes down to like how much you could do with that character from like a mechanics point of view, right?
But
like,
he's only 5% body fat. There's tons you could do with him.
That's a lot of muscle. Yeah, I think it's just tricky. I think it's harder to do a fun boss fight. Look at. Shocker. There's Shocker and Electro. Shocker's boss fight alone is like there's a lot more to it, a lot more steps. Whereas with Kingpin, there's not only so much you can do without it feeling like they're just overpowering him. That doesn't really fit the story.
Yeah.
I think Kingpin could be back in a Norman-esque role as the first game. That he'll be out of prison. He'll be causing you trouble. Because one of my predictions was, who knows, but was Spider Slayers, the show of the animated series, or maybe just Alistair Smythe, because I think you could build up some. If there's no goblin in this game and no gliders, there's some fun like aerial fights you could do. They could be kind of repetitive, but I just think for a game mechanic, those work. You find a bunch of robots, spider slayers. If you want to make Alistair Smythe the weird looking dude, you can. But that's why I thought maybe Kingpin gets out of prison and he has the agenda. Hey, I want to. That's kind of like a side story. I want to get Spider-Man. That's where I think he'd team up with somebody, and that's where I thought Smythe. I thought that I did put Shocker's out of all the people. I put Kingpin and Shocker as one that could return because Shocker wasn't really a part of the
He was
main.
pretty early on.
Yeah, and he was not really. He wasn't a part of the Sinister Six. He was just somebody he fought. So I could see him being kind of another fun recurring boss. But I don't think I see any of the other ones coming back unless it's a one-off or maybe DLC. Like, guess who's back? It's Rhino. But I feel again, like I said, the Sinister Six. That happened. I think maybe in another game you come back to those characters, but I don't think you make them big bosses again. So that's why for me, Kingpin and Shocker were the two that I thought would come back out of anybody. I think Black Cat will as well, but she's not really. She's a villain, but still, she's in the middle.
One villain again, this is just a hard read, but I really want to see him in there is Sandman because he definitely just took a back door in the first game, obviously not even being in it. So, and I just feel like he's such an iconic villain that you kind of have to throw him in there, even if Spider-Man's like, oh, I've dealt with you once before, and like
in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
That could be a fun way to, if you're going back into New York, how are you going to keep it interesting? It could be fun if he's like taking over a district.
Yeah.
And it's different than when you've been there last because it's all just covered with sand and destroyed and whatnot.
That would be really interesting.
And you could even you could take it out progressively or something to make it a safe zone again. Something like kind of like a Saints Row. You're taking out like little area by little area to make like safe zones.
Yeah.
What about Thane? Thane be a good.
I don't want to talk about Thane.
Let's see.
I was gonna say Taskmaster. I think will definitely come back.
Oh, yeah.
He was more tied with almost like collectibles in the first game, and then you had a couple fights with him. But
he's having a big few years.
He's a very popular character. He's in the upcoming Avengers game. He's in the upcoming Black Widow movie.
He's the villain of the Black Widow.
That's crazy.
So I think he was just a fun character. And then once again, that was the first time I saw him. It was in Spider-Man last year. So I'm definitely down for him to come back. I don't know what role. I would even be fine with him kind of being in the same kind of role he was last time. Kind of like how I think however they used Screwball in the last game. I'm fine if they just keep doing that, do some more interesting stuff with it.
Well, again, because I refer back to it, but it's very comparable. The Riddler in every Batman game was the same. He puts out riddles and collectibles, and you got to get them, and it always ended with you fighting him or fighting some machine. I think the exact same thing could be used with whether it's Screwball or Taskmaster. I would prefer Taskmaster. I like Screwball enough, but she was kind of annoying, and those, I don't know if they got repetitive, but they just were the ones I looked forward to a little bit the least because there was no dynamic there. It's just her posting her social media. That's where she should be, just this one note side mission, but I don't know if it's one where I want to come back.
To be honest, I can't fully remember what her involvement was. So
where Taskmaster, I want to come back. He makes sense. Like you said, he's in the Avengers game. He's in Black Widow. He's having just, for some reason, they've decided to make him this big character. So I think he has a chance. I'm not going to double down on it, but I think there's a chance. That
kind of actually reminded me of something. What do you guys think they're going to do with collectibles in this game? Assuming it is New York, same old New York with, some revamped areas. But what is it just going to be like? More backpacks, more whatever, just randomly scattered throughout the city. Like, is that going to be interesting the second time around? Almost feeling like busy work because you've already done that before. Sure. And that was definitely for me like after I finished the game, finished the story and whatnot. It was just like just cruising around the city back and forth, kind of picking stuff up on my map.
Yeah, like the first time around, I liked it because when you would pick up like the backpacks and stuff, it would show you like a little like I don't know, like canon thing about explaining
and the movement
something.
Is so good that it is fun to do that. But I just wonder the second time around.
No, that is a good question. Some I didn't really think about because you can't just have more backpacks around because it's like holy shit, I have another 100 backpacks around the city. But I don't know. They'll have to come up with something.
I mean, they
creative.
can come up with a new item that you're picking up. It doesn't have backpacks again, but even just conceptually, is that going to be as interesting the second time around? They kind of have to do it, don't they? At the same time,
yeah,
like you kind of want that.
It shows,
I think if they do backpacks, for me, I'm completely fine with it. Again, as long as they make them as rich in story as they were the last ones. Obviously, they're just like 20-second, 30-second blurbs of his past life. but I really enjoyed them.
really enjoyed them,
especially because something like Mysterio, he's in this world, but we didn't fight him, so we didn't get any object talking about, oh, this is Mysterio. There might have been one mention of him by Peter here and there, but with all the other villains, like, this is the time I caught him, and blah, blah, or my date with MJ. I think, and this is another thing where you could introduce, this is not necessarily a villain, but I think you could introduce more people from his past, so I think you can get those collectibles. It's a weird thing, but that happens in video games all the time, you know? It's like, why can't I pass this wall? It's like, well, it's a video game, so it's like, why are these backpacks still around? Well, it's a video game. So with Harry being around, with Norman...
I don't know, it's just, I feel like for a game like this, you often don't go back to the same play area and redo that stuff. So that's where I think it could be kind of a little off-putting or something. And I mean, if they do that approach, there's a couple things. One, I want them to take out those stupid camera ones where you just have to take pictures of things, because there wasn't a meaningful way to see which ones you had done or which ones you hadn't. So that was like very tedious for me. Sure. And then also the Harry had like those little science stations on the top of buildings.
Oh, don't bring those back.
And yeah, you'd go there and it's like, there's a big poison spill in this building, but it's just like, it really took me out immersion wise. It's like, well, why is this a problem as soon as I walk into this building? Like, isn't that always going to be an issue? And why is like half the city covered in poison and no one knows until I walk into this building? It was really strange. And those missions felt like really tacked on in like just the budget wise. The animations didn't look good. It just felt really weird in general. So hopefully if they do want to go with those science buildings again, hopefully they revamp them, because it was cool that you could use that to change the time of day if you wanted to for whatever reason. Like, that was a fun thing once you unlocked them all. So it'd be cool if they kept that feature in there at some point, but yeah, they really need to make those a bit better if they're going to include those again.
No, that's definitely a good like observation, because they definitely felt like something that they kind of threw in when the game was done, just to, I don't know, have more content in there. Because compared to like the main stories or some of even just the fun little side missions that you have, like they just seemed, I don't know, little like tacked on.
Yeah,
I feel like that'd probably be the best term for it. But yeah, that was another note I had. Just like those, I don't know, make them more meaningful, because like the whole like purpose of it is like, oh, Oscorp is cutting our funding for these things. Meanwhile, they're like saving the world. Like you said, there's like poison all across New York that nobody knows about because of these things that are not even, like, it just didn't really make sense.
Main story
not at all.
Very, very weird.
Maybe Norman will refer back to the second one. Oh, you shut down all my things. I like the backpack, so I'm easy to please. I'm fine to do the exact same thing, new stuff. The photos are tricky because I love the photos, because I love going to Daredevil's, like, oh, this is Matt Murdock's lofts, or Jessica Jones. So I loved all that. So if they could do the same photos but do with different locations, different Easter eggs. I didn't like the ones where it's like just take a picture of a park bench or something, but the main ones where it was
the landmark ones were fine.
Yeah, okay.
To me, it was the other stuff, because
I agree,
you couldn't tell which ones you had done before, and you wouldn't necessarily know, or maybe it's like you encountered that thing in your first like 3 hours. Like, did I take a photo, or even you didn't know that you were supposed to take a photo of like, oh, I walked past the Sanctum. I wonder if I should go back and do that. I can't remember if I did that 20 hours ago.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind the landmark ones come back, because those were fun. I had a good time. All the Sanctum Sanctorum stuff like that.
Well, I was going to say, like, just to kind of play devil's advocate on the landmark stuff, like, there were so many times that I would get into like an awesome like location and get like the perfect angle of the photo, and it doesn't even save the photo. So it's like, what was the point of even getting a good shot? All I had to do, like, I didn't even have to get a photo of the actual landmark. It could have been just a janky shot.
You take a picture of like the fucking cement, and it's like, that counts.
Yeah, and then it doesn't even matter though, because you can't even see the photos afterwards, right? Like, it just, like, stuff like that, I feel like they could just polish it up more. But I don't know, like, if I'm forced to just take the same landmark photos of what I took in the first game, it's just, it's repetitive. And
they're gonna have to find a new way to make collectibles, because they should still have them.
Exactly. And then just going back to the backpacks, I really like them, and I feel like it would be pretty easy to just, I don't know, give more backstory on Peter, because obviously we don't know everything about him. He's like, I don't know, in his late 20s, and like there's a lot of room that you can put stuff in there to just fill up his backstory. But I feel like, even if, again, comparing it to Arkham, but like, for the Riddler's clues, like, there were some that were like actual puzzles. Like, okay, I see it, but
they're a bitch.
Like, what the hell do I have to do to get that?
There wasn't
right?
like a quest marker that
exactly.
Here,
it's just like, oh, pick it up. It, like, I don't know. Even if they want to play on something like that to make it a little bit more engaging, instead of just like, oh, that's the next one I'm going to. I got to swing around and stuff, but once I get there, it's just...
I guess a good way to do it is implemented just naturally if you do have Miles as like a co-character that you, let's assume you can switch between them on the fly. That makes sense. And even then, that could tie into the training. Like, something that I love about Crackdown, shoutouts to Crackdown, is there's
Crackdown
like
3?
Crackdown, the first one, the only one I've played. One of my favorite games. I never played the other ones.
Just making sure.
There's just these agility orbs. There's these green orbs on the top of buildings all over the place. So when you first start the game, if you're like on the top of a building, you can look out and just see all these agility orbs on all these different buildings. They have different like value depending on how hard it is to get to the top of the building. And when you pick those up, it just like slowly levels up your agility skill. And I think that could be a fun way to have Miles like level up as you're climbing these buildings, going from place to place, collecting. I mean, the agility orbs might not make sense from an immersion point of view from Spider-Man, so they'd have to do it some other way. But I think that'd be a fun way to slowly level up Miles and his agility or something like that, while still getting still having the player experience these areas again, or just go just like essentially checking off boxes. But it's a fun way to experience the city in every way. And then maybe they could tie it how difficult or how easy it is to get to the top of Avengers Tower compared to Rick's Diner or something. Gives you a different value.
No, for sure. I like that. And then Travis isn't here. I was gonna just again reference Arkham, because in that one it was interesting. Because like there's the Riddler's clues, but there's some that only Batman can get, and then there's some that only Catwoman can get. So I really like this. Like I don't know
the clues you mean?
Yeah, like the Riddler's clues. So in that game, you can switch out from playing Catwoman or Batman, which I don't know. We've been toying with this idea, but I am really liking it actually. Like the thought that we'd be able to switch to Miles, and then, like I said, like have some that are only accessible from Spider. I know that they're both Spider-Men, but they do have different abilities, right? And maybe Miles is a little bit skinnier, so he can like fit in. I don't know how you want to like go like run along that path, but I feel like if you want to make it similar to Arkham, how there's some collectibles that only that character can get because of their gadgets that allow them to get to that area.
I mean, it could be something as simple as like Spider-Man can jump to a spot or get to a spot that Miles just straight up can't reach based on his kit, but because of his invisibility, he can go into like that building or something and grab a collectible in there. And that could be kind of fun. Hey, Miles is more for collectibles like inside or on street level. Spider-Man's going on rooftops.
See, I like that a lot more as opposed to just redoing backpacks again, where it's like, well, it's not hard to get the backpacks, it's just time consuming. Whereas the other, like if the other way, it's like, oh, I found this collectible, but I can only get it if I'm this character, and it's kind of a puzzle. Like I have to rely on my invisibility or whatever it is. And I feel like that would just be a good way for them to reintroduce collectibles as well as just adding on top of it instead of just having like a re-spew of what we have.
I think it's like I didn't have a problem with the collectibles for the most part. Like even the Harry science missions, I felt they were pretty low budget, but there's not a lot of them, and you know where they are, so it's not really a big problem. The only one for me was the pictures. It's like why should I have taken a picture of this fucking tennis court
for a shit suit,
and there's like it never checks it off, so you wouldn't know if you have. I had to that was the only thing in the game I had to reference like online guides just to see like, okay, which ones have I not done. It was just kind of weird. So
it was just him in his college like sweater.
It really wasn't like worth.
No,
it wasn't worth the trouble or time. And that was the last thing. Even if you have that and it's just like less of it, so there's only 10 spots, you have to take those hidden photos, and that could be better, I guess.
So I'm dying over here. I don't know what happened.
Poor guy.
Let's see. Talked about that. Talked about Chameleon. Craven.
I was thinking about him earlier.
I think Craven is a perfect kind of side boss to put in. His classic story was, hey, he saw Spider-Man on the news, and he's a big game hunter, so that's the biggest game in the world, and he goes to New York and hunts him down. He loses. Also, Chameleon's in that story, so you could tie that in how I was talking about. But I think Craven could be lots of fun. I think if Taskmaster wasn't in this game, he could counter as the guy that's like, he watches Spider-Man, he knows all your moves. Like, you could almost just copy and paste, but do a different type of storyline, different obviously animations and dialogue with Craven. But I actually think Craven is a good shot, because the ones I had like the good shot ones were Mysterio. I'll keep Hobgoblin in there, even though I've gone back and forth. Spider Slayer, Shocker being back, Kingpin being back, Venom, Chameleon, Black Cat, and Craven. Those were like the 8 that I thought, okay, these are ones that I'm pretty confident in. I have 3 that I'll talk about after that are like ones that I'm not so confident on that I'd like to see, or maybe they don't fit. But Craven is one I'm pretty confident, just because I feel it's pretty easy to integrate him in the game. Maybe, again, if they're just taking stuff that could also be a DLC, which could suck, but I think
that could lead to, I mean, there wasn't like a zoo in New York in the first game, but that could be a fun zoo sequence, a cool level where you got to go through and fight some tigers or whatever. Through. I mean, I don't know, maybe Animal Rights wouldn't be a fan of that, but I think it could be kind of cool.
They can be like poison tigers, so Peter had no choice.
They had to be taken out. I do think Craven would be a lot of fun, and that's something that, like, whether or not it's I don't know if you'd really tie it into the main quest, but I think it would be a really fitting side quest. Like you're going to, maybe the side quest is to go to some location to stop some crime, and that's when it pops up for the first time, and you don't really know, like maybe it kind of pops up when you're doing other quests. You don't really expect it to be coming, but Kraven just kind of shows up to rain on your parade or something.
Well, like Taskmaster, remember sometimes you'd just be swinging and he would just like, wrap you up and be like, what's going on? Such a good way to introduce him. So that's you could even just hear in some mission that there's a guy Kraven looking for Spider-Man, and then you do meet him that way. Or maybe that's your about to go on a date with MJ, or you're about to go save something else or do something else, but Kraven gets in the way.
I really like that idea. I've had it like happen in past few RPGs where it's like it's not necessarily you get to this one spot and then the quest will start. It's like you activate something and then any point after that the quest could start. So then like who knows, Kraven throws like a bola around your legs when you're swinging, just grab like it just, I don't know, I feel like it's fairly easy to do like for like a developer side, and it adds more uniqueness to it.
You can have so many like triggers of what activates him to take you out, and then when you cross, like you enter Harlem, and that's when he like hits you for the first time. It is pretty easy to do, and it'd be a fun surprise side quest that you like didn't see coming.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like that idea a lot. I really want to see Kraven in there. He's such a iconic like Spider-Man villain. I feel like
he's an easy side quest character, but like I don't know how he would. I mean, we don't know what the main story is, obviously, but he could pop in there as well, too. Just to like, you're going to stop Kingpin from doing something, and Kraven just stops you. So whether or not they want to make him a side or main quest character, he definitely fits well in there.
Maybe he's there to hunt Venom, you know, and you got to stop him because you don't want him to kill your best friend, you know. Because I do think that will be the main story. I think Venom and Norman will be the main crux of the storyline. I don't know, like Kingpin coming back. I don't think anybody else would take that spot other than Supple Miles. You know,
I kind of hope they do another surprise deep cut, kind of like Mr. Negative. I like 100%, that. I like that, and I hope they do another one. I think it's like even Miles. It's crazy to think about that game came out like a year ago, and it's how much Miles' perception has changed. Like, people actually know who he is now in just like that short amount of time. And I think it was cool that they kind of dove into some obviously classic Spider-Man content. You know, Doc Ock is classic, but then also just some fun new stuff that, I mean, well, not new in some way, but new in that people don't know who Mr. Negative is or Miles at that point.
Since we were just talking about the idea of having Miles in there, it kind of got my mind going. And I don't think this will happen, but if it does, I think it would be awesome, is if they actually introduce some sort of co-op system. And I feel like if they did have two Spider-Man, it would totally make sense on how they could do that. One's obviously Peter Parker, one's Miles Morales. I don't think it would happen just for how much time they probably have to put into just making like an awesome like single-player game and like that real like story-driven. But who knows? PS5's coming around. I feel like it would be just badass, like swinging around town with a buddy, right? I don't know how they would do it if they'd want to go more than like one extra player, because obviously, I don't know, maybe throw like Penny Parker in there. You just throw in Spider-Man Noir. You get Nick Cage. Nick Cage voices just like, I don't know. It's just a fun thought that I thought I'd mention. It's kind of a wish list thing more than anything.
I don't know if I'd want that or not. Like
really?
I think I'd be more down with them just focus on that single player content.
Which is what I think they're gonna do. But like for his dream, I just feel like I think it would be awesome swinging around town with a buddy.
That would be very cool. I guess I think about like the way like boss fights are implemented, and I just don't know how, like with the way they had boss fights in the first game, I don't know how those would work in like a multiplayer setting.
I don't think I think it would have to be separate from the single player. Like I don't think it would be going on like the same missions and everything. It would just be like, whether it's like they had in the Arkham game where it was just like waves of enemy and you're just like, I don't know, you're just beating them up with a buddy.
Even going back to that classic GTA example, but like switching to online mode and you can just play with someone else, since you can't do like the main story, but there's another story that you could do there.
Or if you just swing around, like who knows, fight crime together. I think it would just be an interesting. I don't know how difficult. I'm sure it's a lot harder to add like an online server and make it actually like functionable.
Guess we'll have to see how Square Enix's Avengers goes, you know, because they kind of want to do that. So
which has like single player only, but then also maybe co-op.
That is interesting.
You gotta. I feel like you gotta pick one. That's the problem. I think you gotta either say, hey, we're focusing on co-op. You can still play it as single player, but co-op is our focus, or you just only do single player.
It is interesting though, because like GTA, Rockstar's like such a huge company, and they've been doing it for so many years, and like even their online is very janky. Like it takes so long to connect sometimes, and it's just like people.
GTA 5's load times are garbage, and are probably the only reason why I don't play that game like at all.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to spend 10 minutes to hop into a game. I like that I can turn on Melee and be playing a match in 20 seconds.
And like that's a huge company that have just been doing it for so long. So like getting Insomniac, who obviously like PS4 Spider-Man is awesome, but for them to actually like add an online thing, which is secondary to what they're trying to do, obviously it's pretty unlikely, but that's just a dream thing I wanted to throw out there.
I cannot wait for no load times on PS5 if that is as they've talked about. That to me is just amazing. That opens up so much possibilities.
SSD, man.
Yeah, there you go. Fucking crazy shit.
Just wait, we'll have to pay $800 for it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
So
yikes.
I'm on the fence as of right now. It's just like thinking about like
for
PS5. It's just like, oh man, we'll see where I am in my life at that time.
That's a must for me. One more for sure. Oh yeah, they got too much good stuff coming out that I can't. Yeah. If it is Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
I'm a tough talker, but I'm pretty weak-willed, so I'm like, do I really need it? And then as soon as it comes around, let's see that like Spider-Man 2 title, dark and gritty.
If you do track the last 4 years,
that big E3 that just has all these games. Well, I guess I'm buying this console.
Yeah. If you track the last 4 years, Kirkland hated Nintendo at one point. He now owns a Switch. So
you could go to the episode where I said, "Screw the Switch, I'm never buying that."
Hey, I said it too. We were all there.
I said it too.
We were all there.
Yeah. And I still sometimes say screw the Switch.
We've been around since the conception of that thing, and we've talked more hate on than love at this point, honestly.
Yeah, that is true.
I wanted to shout out 2 bigger villains. Let's start with this guy because you know what? He's getting a movie next year. Morbius. Any chance at a Morbius sighting?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I feel like Morbius comes with some baggage because then you got to implement Blade or something. Yeah. And that's just a can of worms.
You don't have to. Blade can be off in Transylvania too busy and like, Peter,
you're not wrong. You don't
have
to, but I don't know if I'd want a Morbius that doesn't have Blade kicking around as well.
What if the Morbius is voice acted by Jared Leto? Does it make it any better?
That makes it significantly worse, if anything.
Oh, I can't wait for that movie. Yeah, I think there's 0 chance he's in this game, actually. I think that's something they don't want to tackle quite yet, if at all. But because I don't know if he's been... I'm trying to think of games. I know he's been in a game.
He's coming around with some popularity, too.
Yeah, well, he's in a Marvel... It's him and Taskmaster. Marvel Alliance is a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, It's pretty crazy to see some of these characters turn around. Morbius, who seemed like a very obscure character that I didn't really think would hit the big screen when we were watching the animated show, but here we are. He's coming out as DLC next month in Ultimate.
His own movie. Honestly, maybe he is in that game. Maybe Norman needs some help, and he's just Michael Morbius in this game. In the same way as the animated series, he does some experimenting, and he turns into he's looking for plasma. You never know. Like
I honestly could see that. You look at Miles, who is just a regular guy in like the entire first game until essentially like a tease for the second game. Yeah. So I could see them doing that with other characters who you know that name, but that doesn't lead in anything right away. It's even kind of what they did with Norman. I think that's cool.
100%.
I think that's cool, assuming they maybe follow through with those things eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Morbius will be in it, but then again, like just going off the last game, just like I never would have thought that Mr. Negative would have had like a big impact in that game, right? And like he was one of the main like villains that you're following for like
that made you care about the story. Yeah.
So, maybe the next game's Spider-Man: Curse of the Vampire. You know,
that's the title.
I'd be super down with that. Actually, going to like some underworld stuff.
You can go to Transylvania, like
Transylvania.
It's just always dark. There's no daytime.
Yeah,
no day night cycle.
Mom.
They already use Miles like electricity to just keep the power on.
And then another classic one I threw in there, which I'm still in the camp that I don't think this happened, but is Dr. Curt Connor's Lizard. I think Curt Connors could be in it, but not Lizard.
I think Lizard would be in it.
Really? I just think...
I feel like that follows in the steps of Doc Ock.
That's
and how
why.
he was used. Yeah.
Okay. I think I could see him down the line. That's why maybe we meet Curt Connors here, but I don't think we'd get Lizard right now.
Well, I don't think you have to play off the same themes that they did for Doc Ock, though. I don't think he has to be Peter's work companion that just turns evil. Like, it could just be, I know of that guy.
He's hitting on him all the time. Hey, Peter.
He's hitting on Aunt May.
Stay after class.
No. Whoops. Spoilers.
I initially I was like, well, how does the sewers and whatnot work with the movement in the game? But I think that's actually an interesting idea of here's this playable area that takes away your movement. Now, how are you going to adapt to that? How are you going to play the game now? And maybe that fits better with Miles' moveset or something anyway. And therefore, I feel like Lizard could be really fun. Go down
that's
there.
why I brought the sewers.
And as cheesy as that episode in the animated show is, where there's just a society of lizard people that live under the city, that could be fucking badass to play in a game. I'd be down with that.
Yeah. If you ever want to, the Spider-Man 3 game for Xbox 360 did do that storyline, something similar. So
they're just popping out. Don't you have to take photos of them?
I don't know I think you start that way. Yeah, you gotta get proof that the lizard people are there, and then you go down and you fight them all, and it's a whole wild thing. Those games are Craven's in that game. Those games are, because they always do the movie is the main story, but then the side missions, like in the Spider-Man 2 game, Mysterio is in that game in a big boss battle. You have to swing to to get the Statue of Liberty to fight him. So, those are wild games.
I was gonna say just going to like the movement aspect of what the sewers might be like. Even in the first game, like there's plenty of moments where you're in like a warehouse where you can't really like swing around. Like you can just do your little, I don't know what you'd call your
stealth
little
missions,
like your zip shot, and then obviously
and there was a lot of that implemented, in terms of taking out enemies without. I mean, you never really kill them technically, even though it's total bullshit. You kill so many people in that game. Nope. There is, a lot of ways to string guys up while being quiet, and then even just like the wide array of equipment, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I do like that idea of doing the sewers and then like doing Dr. Curt Connors, because I feel like one, it's a villain that majority of Spider-Man fans would know of, and I don't know what like I already said, why not just throw a shit ton of Spider-Man villains in there? And then two, it is changing like the map a bit without like trying to completely drastically change New York, right? Because all you gotta do is go downstairs, and I feel like it's a fairly easy way to do it. Obviously, they would have to design and everything, but instead of having been like, okay, should we wipe out this part of the town and then make it whatever you'd want to do, if you're just going in the sewers, or even if you attach it to like the subway system, and then I don't know, it's hard for me to think of, but like. There's been plenty of Spider-Man games in the past where they've utilized the sewers and stuff, and whether it's the PS1 Spider-Man game where it's just an endless drop of just sewers that you can just fall on, and you can literally like swing like you're in the city.
Damn.
It's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Just like catacombs.
Yeah, exactly. But
and the other thing I brought up Subway is because there's a big fight in the first Spider-Man game where you fight Shocker, and it's the same thing. You have to like go in the subways, and when he shoots his blast, you got to go to the other side and whatnot. So I think there's always a chance those could make some sort of appearance, whether it is like a mission or just some side mission, but or like a side quest.
Yeah, I do have a feeling though, like going into this game, like if it is the same New York and everything, I feel like they'll play more along of like, yeah, it is New York, but there's a dream, like a mission where Mysterio takes you into space, and you just think you're in like a different area, right? And it's just, I don't know, it's different from what because the first game, I feel like you're mostly in the city, like you're never really taken other places, right? Other than the raft, I think that's the only one.
The raft, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like this one they'll probably play more on trying to take you away from New York without actually taking New York away. Like I already mentioned, like the sewers or Mysterio, some weird dream sequence, whatever it may be. I don't know.
I think that's a good way to do it. I think the sewers would be really fun, and therefore you get like Lizard, you get a fun villain storyline there. I think Sandman, as we talked about earlier, could be really fun, where he's kind of taking over a part of the city, and that could be really cool. And I feel like even just expanding past the island, even just a little bit, go to New Jersey or something, because that way you get a new playable area. You can do whatever you want there, but then you can also have that classic, that iconic Spider-Man bridge scene where you get that full access to the bridge, and maybe it's something you're going past a couple times, but then there's eventually some sort of boss fight centered there. Maybe MJ gets snapped away into another dimension or something like that. But that could be MJ. That could be fun as well.
No, for sure. Yeah.
And even as you mentioned, like Statue of Liberty area could be a fun like level. As we mentioned, like Craven, whether like there's some zoo that just popped up out of nowhere, wasn't in the first game. Who knows how it got there?
He's on the Statue of Liberty. Come fight me here, Spider.
It's just a zoo like on that whatever they call that. Yeah.
Just going back to the Statue of Liberty thing, like although it is just like a building like necessarily, and like it is a really small island, so if they do unlock it, there's not too much there, but they could also have like a fun boss fight there. Like remember when you fight Doc Ock and there's like the scene or the sequence where you're actually like fighting him on the side of the building. Do something like interesting like that, where like maybe someone's destroying the Statue of Liberty and it's just like a really, I don't know, fun action sequence.
Yeah, or like the Lego game, Magneto just takes over the Statue of Liberty and controls it like a person.
Or maybe
not familiar.
Maybe Hydro Man's in this game, and that provides our water level.
Oh, I forgot about Hydro Man.
Yeah.
The water level, the classic water level. Every game needs one of those, right?
Oh yeah, every game, yeah.
Every single game. I think that's kind of my list of villains, I would say, that would make sense, and I think they'd be good to spice up the New York that we've been playing with for however many hours.
I have some side characters I was going to ask that weren't villains, but do you got any more villains, Kirkland?
I was just like when we were talking about the symbiotes, I was mentioning depending on how this one ends, you
want Toxin.
Yeah, you got me. No, I was saying like going into the third movie, whether they make Venom like at the end being like, okay, he's an anti-villain anti-hero, or he's
anti-villain,
or he's a villain, or he's a hero, whatever they end with. I hope that he's sticking around, and then it'll lead into the third game where more symbiotes will actually come, because I'm super biased. I absolutely love symbiotes. I want to see them all in there.
And then Eminem will write the theme song for Spider-Man.
What's her name? Scream.
Yeah,
I want to see her in there. I just feel like that would be so fun, especially it would be a reason for Spider-Man and Venom to kind of team up going into the third game. I really don't think it'll happen in this game because it's just way too rushed, especially since we're just getting introduced to Venom.
Yeah.
So I was going to mention some of those characters, but just going off of what you said, Travis, I don't think they'll be in there. And then I just think it would be a really fun like lead into the third game, though.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them, right? And it would just be, I don't know, it'd be fun little dynamic.
I agree.
So you always need relationship drama. Obviously, Black Cat's in there. Spider and MJ are back together. Is there a chance we got any Gwen Stacy in this game?
Ooh, that's tricky. Because that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
Because Gwen Stacy ain't just Gwen Stacy anymore. People know her as Spider-Gwen.
I don't think she would be Spider-Gwen in this game. I'll say that unless they're really doing some stuff. But I do wonder if just that would be the fork in the road they throw in for MJ. Just like, oh, Gwen Stacy's back in town. Because we don't know if Norman's got Goblin. Gwen Stacy may have not existed. They may have not met because in the canon, like the OG canon, they're friends. Norman kills her, and then he meets MJ. So in this universe, we have no idea if there is a Gwen Stacy, how that works, if there's a past history. Who knows? Maybe she was dating Harry.
Ooh, spicy.
Harry.
Let's go, Harry.
Let's go, Harry.
And then obviously with all those photos, we got lots of landmarks for heroes. Do we see anybody in here, like a Daredevil, a Punisher?
I wanted to bring this up earlier because going back to, I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man again, there is... I don't know if they'll do it, but there is some really fun like little like race type missions that you did with like Johnny Storm. So like he would just be flying around and then you'd kind of meet up with him and then you'd just do races with him. So one, it's interesting, not necessarily a side mission, but just another activity that you could do around the city. And then I think in that one they had like little checkpoint gates, so you had to like you'd just be swinging around and then you're just racing Johnny Storm. Yeah, it's just fun because those two characters have history like in the comics, so it would just be some fun little back and forth.
I can't wait to see them on the. Oh wait. Never mind.
Oof.
Feige,
get back.
Feige fighters.
I was going to mention as well, so yeah, Johnny Storm for races or whatever, and then I just want to see Daredevil in there. I don't know.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, whether it's like another activity, if he's like, oh, you gotta help me beat up some criminals. Okay, I'm in. Daredevil, let's do it.
Yeah. Even if you can't play as him, if he's just by you, you're fighting with him back to back. Yeah, Daredevil needs to be in more stuff, so I'm definitely on that.
Yeah, those are my two. And then the one Easter egg, I don't think it'll happen, but maybe if they just hint at it. Gotta get Deadpool somewhere.
Oh boy.
It definitely won't be in there.
Tough, yeah.
That's tricky.
It's a hard no for me.
I do also think that Punisher could be a possibility, not even just in the game. I think there's always a chance he could be like a side quest or even a DLC.
Like a villain?
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man doesn't agree with his morals of just like killing people, right? So, and this could be maybe this is the first time Frank Castle is in this universe.
That'd be
it's
sweet.
Like, who is this Punisher? Or maybe it's a reverse because we saw that animated series where Punisher's after him. Kind of a Craven thing. So that's why maybe if we get one, we wouldn't get the other. But I could see Frank Castle working as some sort of villain because they made Detective. What is it, Montoya?
Pikachu.
What?
I said Detective Pikachu.
No. Who is it?
That's the one.
Is it Montoya, the one that's with... that's what I should have said. Fuck, I totally forgot in the DLC. Who was the one that was with Spire Cop and that you would talk to her about?
Like Yuri?
What?
You're not talking about Yuri, are you?
Yeah, it was Yuri. She's a villain now. She's a villain in the comics, but DLC set her up to be a villain. It was revealed she was killing a bunch of people.
Does she have a villain name?
I can't remember. I'll find out right now.
That's interesting.
That's good to know.
That is good to know because they don't tell you anything in the main game.
That'll definitely happen now. That's my number one prediction. That's cool.
That is cool.
That's another like known variable player.
Wrath is who she becomes.
Okay.
So much like John Travolta,
so that very much fills the what I would say the Mr. Negative slot, another unknown kind of character.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I don't think we talked about it on the review that character becomes a villain of some sort.
No, because it didn't happen yet, right?
Yeah.
So it was the last DLC. I completely forgot because I just like it I thought it was kind of strange choice to do in DLC again because she is a main character in the game. So, but it made it sound like Spider-Man's going to try to take her down, but not in a bad way. Like try to help her and get her some,
murder her,
the classic,
steal her plasma,
the Black Cat route. Try to help
get
her out.
Morbius.
That's fun. That's good to know. Talk about some of you guys mentioned her. I just want Daredevil. Give me that Daredevil mission. I believe Nelson and Murdoch is like you can take a picture of it, right?
Yeah,
it's a building.
It is, yeah.
So they're
Avocados at law.
They're avocado. You know that they're around, so that could be fun.
It would be kind of interesting, or it'd be kind of fun rather if they introduced him to like you meet him as Peter Parker, like as Matt Murdock, and then later on you kind of. I don't.
You
Again,
need some help with the legal trouble.
I was gonna say I'm kind of contradicting myself because I was gonna say it'd be fun if you kind of meet him back later, but knowing what they did in the first game, they'd probably just turn that into a DLC, so you wouldn't even get to interact him.
Yeah, there's a chance, but I don't know. That might be too good to pass up if you had him in the game. I think maybe that's where you could put him and Kingpin.
That's what
together,
I thought with Black Cat. I thought Black Cat looked great. I thought like her introduction and just having her in there, I thought that was sweet, and then. Obviously, that last mission before
Black Cat, was she? Do you guys? I know this is a really hard question to answer. Was she ever in any of the trailers?
No, I don't think so. Because I think the first time we saw her physically was for the DLC. All we knew she was in the game, and you saw the logos.
So Black Cat's a big character, but I don't think you'd hold back on Daredevil, right? Like for a trailer, you would have to show that he ends up in the game. You have to talk about it as a dev. That's just like an easy selling point. So therefore,
or is that like a selling point to the DLC, like Kirkland said, right? Of like, oh, you can't wait until we see what our first pack is.
Yeah,
Matt Murdock.
God, that would be scummy. Or at least I feel like it'd be scummy.
Hey, they did it once. Why wouldn't they do it again? Right?
Hey, and the good thing I bought that DLC. We got to see Spider-Verse early, so they rewarded us.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I just don't like that practice in general.
No, for sure.
I mean, not to say that they did that. That's just, I don't know. I got strong vibes that was their plan all along. So, I think Daredevil's the one I'd really like to see. That could be extra fun if it tied into Punisher being in the story, and there's like some side quest there. Even if that's, I don't know, tied into the main story, and that's like early on in the story, that's just something that you're doing.
Yeah.
Even if he's just a character that's almost like a cameo level, I think that would be fun. I'd like to see more of that. What is Aunt May up to in the first game? She's just kind of chilling, doing that. She'll be around. She won't be really doing too much.
She'll be around?
Oh yeah, she dies, doesn't she? When does she die again?
I made that mistake
at the very
earlier.
end of the game. She gets poisoned or something like that.
Because you either can give her the cure or give the cure to basically everyone. And then,
everyone in the city, and then
she's
if there's a choice, I would have put it right in Aunt May and said, "Fuck New York." No,
I haven't replayed the game at any point.
Yeah, so she's dead as a doorknob unless she comes back and she's haunting Peter.
Dead as a doorknob.
Dead as a doorknob. So
you fight the ghost of Aunt May. Peter.
She just fucks you up.
So do you think there's going to be someone who's in that?
Maybe Mysterio can do
that slot for Peter?
Just MJ, Miles. Maybe that's where Gwen Stacy comes in, but I don't think anyone that's like or Curt Connors. Maybe it might be too similar to Doc Ock.
That could be cool, actually.
I don't think anyone that we haven't. Not anyone that's not big.
Even Doc Ock was like a very much emotional tie for Spider-Man.
Remember, did they mention Uncle Ben in the first game?
Oh yeah. There's a photo of him too. And you go to his grave.
You go to his grave. My bad.
Yeah,
there was an achievement for that.
Now you can go to Aunt May's grave.
Ooh.
Yep.
Another achievement.
Yeah.
Miles, like, who the fuck's that? No, he met her, didn't he? Yeah.
He did.
At the,
all their trainings. Meet me at Aunt May's grave. And I was like, fuck, why do we keep
Damn
going
it, Miles.
here? Yeah, like why do we
go anywhere else?
Yeah,
let's go to Uncle Ben's grave.
But the bus stop's right there, Peter. I think that's all my notes for characters that I think could potential villain setting. I think I blew my wad here.
Blew your wad.
Very excited. I think the game, if we're still in that bad universe, I still think the game would happen. I think it's a Spider-Man 3 you have to worry about, but I really hope it happens because I don't want to get Star Wars 1313. You can go and look at that story. That was a game, many years of production. Disney bought Star Wars, like, yeah, that game's done. And it was just, they closed down and there's concept art. So
really sad.
That's where people might go, oh, it's lots of money for them, but it also is a way that maybe they want to dick around with Sony and be like, yeah, you want to sell those consoles with Spider-Man? You're not going to do that. You should have took that deal. So I think I think it will happen. And if it does, I'm just very excited. Mm-hmm. That's why if that does happen, that sells the PS5 right there for me,
Yeah, that and Horizon Dawn 2, which also that story ends with leading forward.
Yeah, I was gonna mention I've never played before, but I was going through The Last of Us for the first time. I was literally crying the first scene. I don't want to go into it, but
it's a great game.
That is an amazing game.
Have you finished
and
it?
just think, I'm not quite done yet.
It gets even. Just wait till the last 30 minutes, an hour of that game. It gets
like spoiler alert,
crazy.
but when his original daughter dies, I was torn. I'm like, the game hasn't even started yet. What is this game?
It's pretty intense.
But do we know if the second game's coming on PS4 or PS5?
It'll definitely be PS5.
Yeah, fuck. So then they have my money.
Yeah. PS5 is supposed to be coming out next fall-ish. And,
okay.
and I just excited to play it because I feel like there's so many games, if you look at best ofs, lots of them are sequels, right? And everyone says, again, back to that, but Arkham City, which is my favorite game of all time, that just took everything. The Batman game was great, but then it's like, okay, any problems we had, let's do this, let's add that. And that's the first thing I thought about this, is that this was a great game, but I thought the sequel is going to be even better because they'll get everything narrowed down, smooth that out, what worked, what didn't. So to me, with most franchises, but particularly so far with superhero games, the second one seems to be the crown jewel.
Yeah.
And even the Spider-Man 2 game for the movie, that was the same thing when it came out. It was a huge thing back in the day. So,
well, even if
if
you are sticking to New York again, that saves a huge amount of development time, especially with how much detail they put into things, such as the no loading screens going across the entire city, all the NPCs, the details inside the buildings, you look through the windows, that's a huge amount of development just planning out that city, let alone bringing it to life. So if they can, obviously they got to revamp that HDify or whatever it is for the new system, but that's tons of time saved that they can just focus on side content, which is that's still really the only request I have.
I heard they deleted the file accidentally, so they got to start all over.
Oh, that kind of sucks when that happens.
They don't do backups.
No,
not worth it.
Insomniac policy. No backups. No backups.
At that point, fuck it. I think you go to a new city at that point.
You go to
San
Hawaii,
Francisco. Go meet Eddie Brock there.
Yeah, seriously. Oh,
no, I think you go to Amazon. You go to Russia. You go to
yeah, seriously. Get out
from home. Just go to Europe.
I'm incredibly down. Why is every GTA game? Why is every fucking Fallout game? Why is it in the US? Go somewhere else.
I'm down for that.
Get out of America, man.
Yeah.
It's been overdone.
I think probably because America is probably some of their bigger markets, right? Like a GTA, so it's make you feel at home. Even though they are in fictional cities.
Oh, I understand why they do. I'm just bored of it. Go somewhere else.
True.
Please.
Let's go to Canada.
Hey, don't get me wrong. GTA 5 is great. And it's fun cruising. Yeah, go to Vancouver. Go to fucking India. I want to go to India. That's what I want to do.
Ooh.
Take me to Nepal.
Wait for your Doctor Strange game and then
go to Nepal. That's the dream right there.
Final thoughts, Kirkland?
Yes, I did. I had some more notes. I just quickly wanted to mention
we're out of the notes period.
So the fucking guy. So it's just the swinging in the game. Obviously, it was lovely, but there was literally a skill to do tricks. So you could spin left, you could spin right, you could spin up or down.
Yeah, shooting.
I feel you could just totally I don't know, do actual tricks instead of just little barrel rolls. I feel I don't know, you could do little. Obviously, I'm not a developer, so I don't know how you do it. Give an example. Do cork 10s instead of backflips.
Cork 10s.
Yes, let's see some cork 10s in there. I don't know. Just make it feel more authentic and just real physics. Because the swinging was so good with the physics wise, but when you are doing tricks and stuff, you're just kind of rolling, and it just didn't feel like anything too special. So that was
it's something you don't even know is in the game for a long time, and then you figure out it's well, I guess you get it.
It's giving me 4 XP.
You get a useless
every time
amount
I do
of
5.
XP. Yeah, it's not really worth doing.
No, exactly.
It's great if you go to the tallest building. Come on.
You get 12 XP.
That's definitely something though that I just hope that they beef up from the first game, because it definitely has room for improvement.
Yeah.
And if it's just the same thing where you can do a couple front flips and stuff, who knows? They might lose a whole point for me for that one, because the swinging is so good in that game.
Point, not a point. Like a point one,
whole point. Whole point.
I wonder if
I'm giving them a warning now. They should be listening to this.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. What I was going to say, Miles,
talking about this game.
Oh yeah.
For Miles, I wonder if they do go the route where Miles is training, he's a noob. I wonder how they're going to tackle something like the fact that Peter couldn't take fall damage in this game, or you couldn't mess up your movement. If you fly into a wall, he just transitions it into a run, which just makes sense story wise because your character already knows how to do all this stuff. But yeah, what's going to happen to Miles? Is he going to stick every landing? Is he going to just flawlessly turn that smash into a wall into a perfect wall run?
See, that's when they introduced Deadpool, and he's well, and then he explains it. Then
I was gonna say it would be such an interesting thing for them to do, whether or not like not necessarily you fuck up your movements, but he's just like running up a wall and trips, right? It's just like it's kind of how you meant. I think it was Smash 4 they introduced like the tripping mechanic
In Brawl,
yeah, it's
Best
they
mechanic.
briefly took it
terrible
out.
for competitive, but like
It was Smash
I don't know, in a
3,
game
by
like
the
that,
way.
especially if he's learning, and then obviously when he's like full build or whatever you want to call it, yeah, he's flawless, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it might be something fun, as well as the same topic as Miles training. I feel like some fun little boss battles would be like you as Miles like training against Peter, and Peter's just a god and he just fucks you up, but you're like trying to like
That could be fun.
not necessarily kill him, but just like training, right? So I think that would be something.
You killed that
fun.
man. You killed that man. Peter, no, I didn't.
Jesus. I'd be down with that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd just be
The tutorial fight is just against Spider-Man. How wild
he
would
goes
that
kill
be?
mode.
It's like, I
out
thought I was
the-
playing
pulls
Spider-Man
out the
2.
leg.
What's this?
Spider-Man 2. Just turns all British accent for some reason. What was I gonna say? Oh, just costumes. I need more costumes.
Yeah, more
And
costumes. Yeah.
I find it hard to complain about that. There's so many already.
I trust some of that. They did above and beyond that.
what if you can do some custom costumes?
Yes,
That'd be
make your
cool,
own.
yeah.
Ooh.
And the only two they didn't really have were the Miles one and then the symbiote one. But then they said after the game came out, we didn't put those in specifically because we thought we need those for story reasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that made sense to me. Like they put in Ben Reilly's suit, they put in the fucking Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
stuff.
the
I
only-
hope they bring that one back.
I was gonna
and
say,
the
yeah.
comic book. The
They should just take them all back and just add on to it.
I would agree with
honestly.
that.
take them all and keep
Yeah.
adding. Yeah, the other one I want is Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Well, there's actually a
that
couple
suit.
you could cut. I don't need like the stupid wrestler one.
But maybe someone loves that one, so keep it.
Maybe.
You know?
I'm just saying
someone
I
loves-
don't.
Or have,
I'm
like,
just
the-
saying if they cut that, I don't care.
Have like Tobey Maguire's wrestling one. Just kind of tweak it.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good
Yeah.
one.
Bonesaw.
Have Bonesaw.
He's
Have
a
Bonesaw.
side villain.
Yeah.
Just Macho Man is voicing it. Yeah.
Ready?
I'm down with that. Do it. Final boss.
Dig it.
Close.
Yeah, he's the final boss. He gets the symbiote. Oh, I'm Venom.
He's wearing a cowboy hat and everything.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, put Bonesaw in the game.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be down.
I'd be so down. Oh, yeah.
Why not? You know,
Put Mr. Dickovich in there as a boss fight.
Rent. He's,
Oh,
He's
Taylor,
not- yeah.
Taylor would get a PS5.
Yeah, imagine if that was you always just have a home base in this game. You don't really need to use it at all, but you technically have a room you can go to. But what if like rent was an aspect and you have to like make money selling?
Yeah.
You like these photos, you actually have to take them for a story purpose because you have to pay Mr. Dickovich or he'll
I would love that game.
sick who knows
Personally.
what on.
they
you.
could just be its own separate
Sick,
game.
who knows what
Just
on.
as Peter Parker.
Man, oh man, I'd
Toby.
be so
Just call
down
Toby.
if like, what if instead of a regular, what if a new collectible in this game is delivering pizza and you just have to, you have like a certain amount of time, you have like 1 minute to
They
get
did
this
that in
pizza
Spider-Man
from.
2.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I'd be
they've done it
so
before.
down for that.
Yep.
That'd
And
be
It
sick.
looks so sweet too. Swinging
the
around
other-
pizzas.
Yeah, the other thing in Spider-Man 2 was the balloon, so I want them to bring back a little girl, thousands of little girl around the city, be my balloon, and you'd have to swing up and go get and bring it back
Oh,
to
no.
her.
Classic Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's
It
great.
just pops out of the sewers and eats you.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, Venom does in Ultimate Alliance. I think the first mission that you play as Venom, you have to like eat a child that has a balloon and Spider-Man on it. It's pretty graphic.
That's wild.
Shouts out to Ultimate Spider-Man.
I gotta play that game apparently.
I have it on
That's a good
GameCube.
game, yeah.
I'll lend it
Very
to you.
different art styles.
Totally. I really liked it though.
I'm down for
It's
that.
definitely dated. I played it a bit before PS4 Spider-Man came out because I was just hyped, and it's
Didn't
not
sound-
as well polished as I remember.
okay.
But it's a great game though.
Man, remember
story.
back in the day when like every
You fight Wolverine.
every comic book movie meant that there was a comic book game that would be associated with it.
I was
Oh, yeah.
thinking about those actually.
That's
Like
classic.
we like. Oh,
They don't really-
I can't wait to
they don't
play
just
the
pump those out
game for
anymore.
this movie.
Yeah.
They're all crap for the
Oh,
most
yeah.
part.
Oh
For the
yeah,
most
I remember playing the
Well, they were
Fantastic
made-
Four
yeah.
one.
Yeah, they were
I
just
had
made
the
in a snap.
I had the Fantastic Four on PS2. Maybe the
Yeah,
24-hour
that's the one I had.
We still
Yeah.
got to play Iron Man. So
There's a lot of them
Iron
here.
Man was actually really good. I don't know if it holds up now, but I remember at the
flying's
time.
fun, but it's very basic. You're just shooting enemies that are super weak,
Oh,
and you're
okay.
like, okay, I'm Iron Man. you
Okay,
know?
yeah.
Makes you feel.
I think I was just
strong.
hyped like
Yeah.
after the movie playing like. I think I was probably just like the demo for it. And I'm like, this game is so good.
Yep.
Best game ever.
Best game ever.
Best game yet.
Mm-hmm.
Best game yet.
Anything else?
Just like this year.
Just like this year. Hashtag save Hannibal.
Mhm.
I don't think I have anything else to mention. Actually put Madame Web in there. Have some fun dimensional.
I don't think so. Not
Mind
yet.
fuckery.
That's way too much. Way too much.
Why? You can start with just like little inklings, or it doesn't really mean anything. It's
Make it
just
the
setting up.
post-credit scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a lot. You got.
I want Madame Web to become mainstream.
Oh yeah,
She's great.
That one's. I thought you had a good shot with Doctor Strange doing all this stuff, but if he's not in the MCU, might be. Gone.
Madam Web, is that different from Spider Woman? or doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't
Oh,
she
yeah.
like get her powers from her or
Madam
something
Web is like
that?
a Doctor Strange like figure. She's a sorcerer.
She like pulls Spidey into like this other dimension and just drops very obscure, ambiguous messages that he doesn't know what it means
Unless
until like the
you're-
very end of the show, and then the show got canceled. And it's like, what the fuck? This is crazy shit.
Unless you're older than 14 and can figure out when she's like, oh, there's a shocking thing that could happen. She disappears, then Shocker's a villain, and then halfway through the episodes, Peter's like, this is what she must have been talking about. Yeah.
Good
Classic.
times.
You should look up. She's really cool. Helen Mirren is the prime casting for
Okay.
that. So, yeah, I want it to happen. Same thing. I'd love her to be mainstream, but who knows?
Who knows? Honestly.
Interesting.
Hopefully Insomniac.
Oh, I guess one thing to ask: what do you guys think we'll get MJ missions again? Same sort of thing. Do you want that? Do you not want that?
No, I don't want it.
The thing is, I was fine with them like the first time around, but they're not. There's definitely no value to them the second time. So I don't know. Maybe they make them more interesting, but at the same time, is that something they should focus on?
Yeah.
I like the idea that you get to play as her for sequences, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much I want them to focus on.
No,
that.
yeah. I was going to say, like, the first playthrough, it's just something unique, and I really enjoyed them at the time. And then, like, especially the missions where I think you're in, like, a subway. I don't know
There's a
specifically where
few.
you're...
There's one where everyone's kidnapped.
Like
and
one in
you're
a museum.
Yeah, and then,
Spidey.
like, Spidey's, like, there.
Yeah,
and
that's fun.
Like, it's cool because you get to see him through, like, a civilian's eyes, but, like, when you're doing, like, New Game Plus stuff, and then it's, like, when that mission rolls around, you're like,
It's
oh,
tough.
I just want to skip this.
When I replayed every time, I wish there was a skip option.
Yeah.
And same thing, like,
What if they did that? What if they added a skip option?
that's fine. Yeah, I would be
Once you've beaten
like
it,
even
obviously.
the first time when you play through Norman's house, that's fun because you're finding out so much stuff about Harry
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Norman.
yeah.
But the second time, you're like, I know all this. I don't care. So yeah,
Right. That's true. I forgot that was a really cool aspect. I remember really liking that that particular mission. And
Put her in the
I like
sewers.
how much stealth mechanics there was in the first game, and it was cool to try it with a character who doesn't have any powers. But yeah, I mean, unless the levels are going to be made really interesting, then it's not really. There's not a whole lot of value there on a replay. So I don't know. I'd be down if they add those sequences again because it is fun and gives MJ something to do, and it's not just like busy work like it is. It does tie back into the story and gives you information that Spider-Man doesn't have. So I thought it was
Yeah.
good. I'd be down to see it again.
Let's get it.
Get it. Do you have any other notes there?
No, I'm looking into Madam Web.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting because Spider-Woman, or a version of Spider-Woman, did in fact end up turning into Madam
Oh.
Web. She was the second
Oh,
Madam
wow.
Web.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know they could be relinquished over to a person or whatnot. That's crazy.
There's some weird things in Spider-Man stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my indie favorite characters, Julia Carpenter. That I think I told you, or we were talking about it
She's
probably a
in
few
our
years
Marvel
ago.
Alliance 1.
Are you serious?
Isn't she?
I don't think
Spider-Woman?
so. Oh, Spider-Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like a different version.
Oh, okay.
She looks.
Oh,
Oh.
that one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like with the kind of Venom
Yeah,
symbiote.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the suit because I'm just
That's a classic.
biased for the Venom
Mhm.
Yeah.
suit. But yeah,
Venom.
so,
Venom.
shouts out to
Venom.
Madam Web.
Shoutouts to Web.
Shouts to us. You can follow us all down below in the description for the video and audio feeds. Check back. I think at the time this came out, we did an It Chapter 2 review. I'm sure Kirkland loved that movie. No, he wasn't on the review. We got
Scared.
lots of
No
stuff coming
comment.
up. Joker's coming up. We're going to be hopefully doing a DC retro, hopefully a Zombieland retro because the Zombieland 2 is coming out. And there'll just be other stuff around the channel. Go back.
Yeah.
D23 just happened probably a week previous. If you're listening to this on the main feed, you got our Avengers commentary track. You got some of the Spider-Man drama. Just tons of stuff. So go take a listen, and we promise you it won't be boring.
Catch you on the web.
See you, Kyle.